I've worked at magazines all my career for nearly 25 years now. As a designer, an art editor, an art director, and was creative director of Wallpaper for 4 years. But 4 years ago was transferred to the editor-in-chief to be in control of all sides of the magazine. So an unusual sidestep. My role as a master on the Masterclass has my current position, certainly as editor-in-chief of Wallpaper. Of course, it does touch areas of photojournalism because it's telling stories about the world, but probably not in the way that one would immediately think of world-press photo. However, I do have some credentials. I worked for 10 years. My first job from graduation in art school was at the Sunday Times magazine, so from the mid-'80s for 10 years, working with Michael Rand, who was art director of the Sunday Times virtually from day one. So my education within the magazine world and the language of photography and telling stories through pictures in a magazine could not have been better, I don't think. Michael is one of the greatest teachers to young designers of how to tell a story through photography and how to rein back your potential self-indulgences as a young designer. He was very much a designer where the story and the content came first. So I learned everything in those 10 years, everything I know now about how to treat pictures and text sensitively and respectfully. A magazine designer can take an average story and make it great, can take a great story and make it average or make it terrible. I was fortunate at the Sunday Times that the experience of Michael Rand and his team created an atmosphere where photographers had great trust, and Michael had great relationships with these photographers, that there was an inherent trust that their pictures would be treated sensitively and be used in a way that hopefully would make it a better story. And I think a photographer has to trust the art department, the design department on a publication or a book, because it is a very different thing. And a photographer can be too close to the work. Inevitably, it's a inevitability, and you have to release that and give over some element of the power has to be passed to somebody else. The key is that you only work with people who you do trust, and there'll be some mistakes along the line, but you learn very quickly the kind of publications and the kind of people who will treat your work sensitively and respectfully, but hopefully maybe will take some risks to do things you wouldn't do, and edit in a way that you have not possibly seen. And I think this whole workshop, that's in a nutshell, has been the main thing that I think these young photographers have probably learned, that to give over the tendency to be too precious about your work can be a very cathartic experience as much as anything else, but hopefully can give an insight into your pictures that you wouldn't see yourself. A photograph in a publication, there are very many different parameters and functions and limitations that are inherent in the very nature of a book or a magazine or a website. And a good designer, of course, has all that knowledge and will understand how that picture will transfer from the print to the printed page or to the website screen or to the iPad and all these new things. And so in a sense, a photographer should view this relationship as beneficial because it's another area of expertise. Of course, typography and layout is crucially important. And, we can't all be masters of all these different skills. They're very, very different skills. And the best opportunity is to work with experts in these different fields, and then your work will be presented in a way that you might not have imagined, but also just all the technicalities and the small details and intricate elements of print production or website production are all things that you should trust a good designer. Not only the aesthetic side and the purely imaginative side of how things are produced. It's more that the technical sides as well, which can again turn a story from being good to great, or from great to good. My lasting impression of the Masterclass is it's been the most incredibly intense 5 days that I've been here. There's one extra day to go. But an incredibly intense focus on photography and what photography means for the individual photographer and how it makes them feel, or how they portray themselves through their photography, but also how there are so many different ways to see a photograph and a story. And there are 6 of us masters, all very different, which I think is incredibly healthy. We're all from different walks of life and from different areas of the profession, whether that be book publishing or magazine design or photographers and curators. And it's extraordinary how we all see a story in a different way. There are, thankfully, crossovers where we all agree at certain points, but I think the crucial thing is that there's not one right way to perceive a story or to design a story or to edit a story. And I think hopefully that will be the lasting impression that these young photographers go away with, that first and foremost, it's not always their idea is correct, but then after that, there are many ways that you can reinterpret a story. And we've seen some photographers particularly this week who have realized that actually there's more than one story within this photographic essay they've done, and they can do different edits and different editions. From 30 pictures, there's actually 3 stories within there if you edit carefully and if you combine pictures in a particular way. So that's been a huge learning curve, I think, for all of them and for us as well.